So when you are on YouTube, you're trying to figure things out and you're trying to get more visibility and views. Well, this interview today is something that you can't miss because sometimes we feel like we're stuck, but we're so close to getting it to really take off and blow up. So my name is Daryl Eves, super excited to be here and really dig deep into all things YouTube. I love YouTube, as you can see behind me. I've been able to generate billions and billions of views and really help a lot of creators and brands and businesses throughout the world. And I love it. I love it so much because this is a great opportunity to establish a business and really impact the world in unique ways. So really excited. So if you wouldn't mind just putting in where you're from in the comments, you're going to see me be a little bit more active this year than in previous years. Some of you might know I actually co-founded and co-produced a TV show called The Chosen, and it's really taken a lot of bandwidth for me and my team. And really love that show. And, you know, I'm going to kind of start designating Saturdays to get a little bit more active on YouTube because I love YouTube so much. And also, I am going to be releasing version 2 of the YouTube formula coming soon. Really excited about it. I've been working on it quite a bit. There's so much that you can learn all in that. And then 2, there's so much that's happening in the industry, especially when it comes to AI and shorts, that we need to be able to give a little bit more context of what the YouTube formula is all about. So super excited that you're joining us. Also, we're multicasting across YouTube and X and a few other places. And if you wouldn't mind just going ahead and hit subscribe or like or follow, we are going to be a lot more active, especially around VidSummit and leading into speakers at VidSummit. I'm really excited for this year. It's something we've been shooting for a very long time. Now, that being said, do you feel like you've ever stuck on YouTube? If you do, put it in the comments because I think all of us as creators at one time, we feel like we're just putting it all in. We're trying to make it work and it just doesn't click. And for me, you know, it's always about going through the process. This is something I teach my students. You know, we want to put a plan together. We want to execute on that plan and analyze what's actually happening, what's not happening, what's working, what's not working, and then that adjustment period. And so super excited for today's interview. And this is a creator that has really started to explode. Really happy for them. Not just because they're my students, but you know, the type of content out there is just amazing. And so I want to welcome to the stage, Mary Allyson and also Tanner. How you guys doing?
Hi, we're great. Thank you so much for having us.
Hey.
Yeah. Super excited to have you on for multiple reasons. I think there's so much to learn as we have conversations, and I love these conversations. But why don't you kind of introduce, you guys, and then how you got started on YouTube?
Yeah, so I'm Mary Allyson.
I'm Tanner.
And that's Tanner.
I'm her husband.
Yeah, so we're married, and we started on YouTube in 2019, like right after we got married. I actually started as a vegan food channel because I was really passionate about that with a lot of health issues that I had going on. And so that's how the channel really started. And
yeah, basically she was vegan. She kind of was really passionate about that. I had just started my corporate job. And so I always kind of saw something in her being like, oh, she loves performing and that kind of stuff. And so whenever we got married, we were like, oh, let's try out this YouTube thing. And that's when she started posting the vegan recipes and things like that. And so, you know, I'm sure we'll get into the journey and everything.
We're gonna dive right in because I think first off, you're insane to go onto YouTube. Like you just are. No, I'm just joking. There's just so many people like, why are you going to do it? And I think the first thing that I always like to look is like, what are you super passionate about? And what do you want to share? And, you know, that's what you're able to do there. So talk to me about that journey of creating content. Was this new for you, or did you kind of grow up with it? Did you have to learn a few things?
Yeah, so I had never really made a lot of content. I always loved social media, and I had performed my entire life through pageants. I was a performer in Disney World. Like he said, I really just loved entertaining and performing.
And you were performing at Disney World. Were you a princess? I mean,
yeah,
Cinderella. Yeah. Of course.
Cinderella. I love it. That's great. That's great. Okay. Continue on, please.
Yeah. So always loved performing. And like he said, he was like, I think you can actually do this like on YouTube and we can be like entertaining. And so he was like, what would you want to do? And I was like, I love like cooking and baking, and I'm newly vegan, and it's like helped me so much in my health and my life. So let's try that. So our very first video was vegan black bean brownies. And it was kind of fun. And it actually, looking back at it, if I could show you the thumbnail, oh my gosh, it's so bad. And the title, we just, I think we unlisted it.
It's not there.
Yeah, we just like stuffed every single search word we possibly could so that we could get views, and it like kind of worked. We actually like did get some views, and we're like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. And so we kept posting more and more, and then eventually I found that posting like vegan grocery hauls was doing really well for my channel.
Yep.
And so we started posting more. And then I eventually posted one that was 10 grocery shopping secrets Aldi doesn't want you to know. That one's definitely enlisted. You can't see that one.
Yeah.
And it like just took off. It blew up. And at first we were really excited. We were like, oh my gosh, like we can actually do this whole YouTube thing. Like this is so cool to do it together. But at that time,
was that the first time that you really, I mean, did the money come with it too? Did you see, oh, we got it views and this could actually, provide? Was that the video?
Yes. Yeah. That was the video.
That video.
Dive into this because I think it's really important contextually that they know who Tanner is, and we know the husband, but like Tanner, kind of explain your background because I think this will uniquely help answer a few things here with this part of the interview.
Yeah. So like I said, I went to college, and I went to college for business analytics. So I was really into like, I've always been like a math nerd, like data and stuff. And I know Daryl, you are too, so we can relate on that. But I honestly, more than her, I grew up watching more YouTube than she did. And so I was always like wanting to do something entrepreneurial, like whether it was, really anything to make money on the internet. And I was like, how can I do this? I don't want a corporate job, even though that's the, route everyone was telling me to go. And so, I tried different things along the way, but then once we got married, like she wanted to do this. And so I was like, okay, well, I had kind of learned I hadn't started a YouTube channel, but I had watched stuff about YouTube. And so that's what kind of brought us together to be like, oh, okay, she's interested in doing this. I love YouTube. I love data and stuff. And I knew that was involved in it. It's like, maybe this is something we could do together and it could work out. And
I love it.
Yeah.
So when the data started to come in off this video, because like I think this video is really crucial because you had a lot of momentum, and momentum is one of the best things you can ever have on YouTube because it just kind of spurs more momentum. It kind of feeds off each other. And Mary Allyson, this is where I'll let you kind of finish your story because I think it was really important that we have contextually this so that we can really analyze it a little bit deeper.
Yeah. So like I said, that video took off and we're like, oh my gosh, like this is pretty cool. Like we can actually do it. But like you were saying, as the data started coming in and we were reading the comments and I was actually seeing who my audience was, I was like, I can't really relate with them. And then also, honestly, that whole time that I was doing the vegan grocery hauls, I didn't love it very much. Like that's not ultimately the content that I really wanted to be making. And then especially when I realized that I wasn't really able to connect with my audience, that was like a red flag for me too, because I genuinely thought that the people watching my videos, I didn't even think about the audience, but I thought that I really didn't.
I know. You don't need to tell me that, but yeah, go ahead, please.
I thought that there were other like 24-year-old girls like watching my content because they wanted to be vegan too and like healthy little girly pops. Like, but no, that was not the case. The comments started coming in and we started seeing the data, and they would say, what was one of the comments?
Just talking about like, commenting their age and
Oh,
things
yeah.
and things they like doing. And then also we can see the age on the back end,
Yeah.
you know, with the analytics, and it was like 55 plus.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay,
So
we have done something wrong.
Yeah. So the majority was like 55 plus females, and they would comment about like them having like grandkids and stuff. And then somebody even commented, they were like, I don't like that you're wearing crop tops. And I was like, oh, okay. Again, I thought that there were other 24-year-old girls. That was not the case. So I was like, we need to pivot. Cause like, I also, again, like I'm saying, I really didn't enjoy making that content. I really wanted to make like fun, entertaining, inspiring content, especially for a young female audience. Cause that's really,
let's unpack that. Cause I think there's a lot going on. So you were posting, you had passion. You're like, oh, I want people vegan. You started posting and you're going to it. And then you started saying, oh, I see all these videos on YouTube about hauls. I can do a grocery haul. We're going to do a grocery haul that's more vegan related. Let's go ahead and do it. And the data started to come in. This is the first time where the views started to come up, but you were now concerned. Yes, you can make money on YouTube. You've proven the fact that you can do it, but it wasn't something that you enjoyed doing, number one. Number two, you realize it's curating a different audience than you wanted to impact. And so I can't tell you how many people I've come across that this is their life story. You know, it's like, hey, I just knew I wanted to do something. I knew I was passionate about something. We got going, and you know, I wasn't even thinking about the audience. I was just creating content. And when something took off, now I feel like that I need to only do that content to succeed. So was that like, did you fall into that trap where that video came out and you're like, okay, we're going to do it again because it's going to be successful? You're like, how many times did that happen?
Yeah, that happened several times. And what's so funny to me though, too, is that whole time I was telling Tanner, I was like, ultimately, I really just want to do like baking content and like making cakes and stuff. And Tanner, being the analytics guy that he is, he was like, that literally won't work on your channel because you have so much momentum like doing this. And I was like, but I don't love it. And so he was right that like, it's not going to do well. So we just
trapped in the sense that, hey, if we want to do this full time, we need to keep on doing these grocery haul type content.
Yeah. And then I think I finally hit a point where I was like, if I'm going to do this and like make money, like I actually want it to be something that I truly enjoy and am like really passionate about. And one of my biggest things was I actually wanted to connect with my audience. Cause that's, after a while, I realized that is important. And I realized I actually wanted to connect with people.
Well, let's kind of unpack it. So this is where I think a lot of content creators fall into a trap of despair. You know, so if I'm going to succeed, I'm going to only do this. And you kept on hitting the same vein over and over again. And you knew that if you did it, people would watch it because you had the momentum. And how YouTube works is, you know, anything that they're currently watching as an active viewer, they're going to be recommended similar content. And so as you're pulling similar content, you know, YouTube's going to recommend it. And so it's kind of like this cycle. But every time, you know, the content creators seem to post it, they seem to lose interest. They get more disconnected. And so what did you do to combat that? And like, how bold were the next steps? Because you did a pivot. You did a massive pivot.
Yeah.
And you did it in a way that I think will be very inspiring for a lot of people.
Yeah. So I realized again that I actually wanted to pivot. Hindsight, I probably just should have started a new channel, but we didn't. So in order to pivot, I had to ask myself a few questions like, okay, who do I want to impact? Like, who do I actually want to connect with for my audience? And then who else on YouTube or just in general, like inspires me? And so I have always had a heart for like middle school girls because that's such a crucial time in your life where like you don't really know who you are. You're trying to figure that out and there's not a lot of confidence there. And when I was in middle school, I definitely wanted somebody to look up to, especially in the baking world, because I used to bake all the time and my friends didn't think it was very cool, but like having somebody to look up to mean like, yeah, baking is cool. Like I wanted that. So that's the audience that I wanted to connect with. And then I looked at the people who inspired me. The first person being Hope Scope.
Oh, she's amazing. Yeah.
She's amazing. She inspires young
I think
females.
when we saw her and like her come up, that was like it really switched in our brains, like, oh, we need to, like, it wasn't the exact same story as us, but like it was like inspiring that she, you know, basically the type of content she was creating, and she started flourishing with that. That really changed her mindset, and she like started to be like, oh my gosh, I need to start doing this, you know?
Yeah. So other people that inspired us was like Rosanna Pansino. She was like the original like cake queen on YouTube. And then Mary Elizabeth, she's awesome too, doing like art content, super fun. And then also like Nick DiGiovanni. He's amazing with his content and does stuff with food like I've never seen before. So those people were really inspiring. So I also looked at what they were doing on their channel and how I can apply some of those tactics to my own channel and like make them my own.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I went from there. So then I started to try to make more long form content, like different, like completely different than what I was making.
Right. Let's talk about the first video that you uploaded, because I think here you have an active audience that was expecting a certain type of content. And the moment you posted something that wasn't targeted towards them, what was the reaction of your audience? Like, what did they think? What did you?
Yeah, well, my video was getting like barely 100 views, like hundreds of views. And then
we were getting thousands before that.
And we were getting
tens of thousands.
Yeah, probably. Tens of thousands. And so it was like 700 views in like 3 weeks, the first 3 weeks posted. And then I was getting comments like, what happened to the vegan content? So like, I get it. Like they were there for the vegan content and I just like switched it up on them.
Yep.
But I was having way more fun making those videos. That part was really encouraging to me. The discouraging part was like getting literally hundreds of views on the long form, but I was actually enjoying making the videos. Yep. So there was
definitely frustrations though. Obviously, like we were like, well, why isn't it? We like what you were saying, we felt trapped in like, well, we're putting these videos out. We thought they were good. They probably weren't, but we were like, they're just not. We're stuck. Like we're gonna have to. Something's gonna have to change for like a video's gonna have to take off somewhere for anything to happen, or else we're just gonna be banging our head against the wall.
Yeah, and so that's when YouTube Shorts was like kind of first introduced, and so a lot of people viewed it as like, what's going to happen to my channel? A lot of people were skeptical because, I mean, at that time with anything new, like you're going to be like, what's going to happen to my channel if I post shorts or whatever? But we really viewed it as like a new opportunity to reach a new audience. And then that's where we went. And so we started to try to make shorts.
So did you stop doing long form and just go all in on shorts? Or I know you did a few long form videos, but did you just kind of pause your long form strategy?
Yes.
Well,
so
not at first.
But so we continued to try to make long form videos. And at that time we were still making shorts as well. The long forms were not doing very well at all. And so we realized at that time, then our shorts started to take off, and we realized, let's focus on that since there's momentum there.
Yeah.
So we did.
So this is an interesting dilemma because as you're well aware, because you got to know me quite a bit over the last couple of years, but it's like I look for opportunity, and that first opportunity would be, hey, what's going to provide to build a business, right? So you're walking away from an audience that you could service, okay, but it would suck the life out of you. So you're like, okay, that's not worth it. It's not worth that value that time, energy, and effort I'm putting into it. And then you started to create other content, which felt like you were ignoring the people that subscribed and viewed before, your active community. And you're like, oh, I'm not even making content for you anymore. And so you start going down it. And then you get a little disheartened because your long form content's not there. And then you're like, okay, we're going to do like a short strategy. And so for me, I'm thinking shorts doesn't make any money. You'd have to get a lot of views for it to be interesting. Why would we even do this? Why would we even go there? But I loved what you said. It's like we wanted to go where the audience was at, you know, and so you took that bold step. And why don't we talk about that? Because when you started to slow down or even pause some of the longer form videos and start putting more energy and effort into your creation of shorts, kind of talk to me about that time period.
Yeah. So it was a lot easier on us too, because he was still working full time at his corporate job. So making shorts was a lot easier on the both of us. And we were able to really focus on making really good shorts and like honing in on who the audience is and what they actually wanted to see.
Yeah. Yeah. We would pretty much, like she said, we paused the long form, started focusing on the shorts. And that's when the views really exploded. Like we started learning how to make videos for the audience she wanted to reach. And I think that was the biggest change. Was we didn't know, we spent so much time making long form videos and they just weren't connecting the right way. We didn't know how to serve them well. Yeah. And so with the shorts, we started to have some success and we were like, okay, well, let's try this. And we started to try more new things. And that's when we started to learn how to make content for them.
Yeah, no, I love it. And what I love would be, it looks like you're having a lot of fun, because like you're finally getting some momentum, and then two, I think you got to experiment with creativity, because I think doing no offense, but it's like doing recipes around vegan or going on a haul, there's not much creativity into it. It's just like, hey, this is what I got to do. Come watch me. Do this, right? And I know in knowing you for a while now that you need that creative outlet. And so that was just kind of sucking the life out of you. And then you weren't able to be creative. And this side was like, oh no, now I'm going to start picturing who I'm making content for. You're like, I'm going to make content for a middle school girl that I know how they felt because I was there, and sometimes they feel alone and I want to support them in unique ways. But what I love was when you started to insert your personality into the content, because that's where I think the success was, because it's very relatable. And then two, I just noticed the comments started to pop off, and I want to just talk about the comments right here, because this is gold. Everyone, this is the thing that you need to listen to. Like if there's ever a thing on this interview that you need to listen to, is the feedback that Mary Allyson and Tanner was getting from the comments. So why don't you kind of talk over the comments and then how that led into other content that you were creating?
Yeah. So the comments we were getting were very encouraging. They were like, oh my gosh, like I love your channel. This is amazing. And then they would start telling me what cakes they wanted to see from me. And I was like, oh, okay. Like that's cool. Like somebody wanted like a Taylor Swift cake, which is like, I love Taylor Swift. I'm a huge Swiftie. So I was like, yes, I'm immediately going to make you that cake. And I responded to that comment like in my short. So I put it up there. And that ended up doing extremely well when I actually respond to my viewers' comments and actually make the cake that they want to see.
Yeah.
Can we pause there one quick second? Because I think this could be misunderstood. Hey, I'm only going to do what my audience wants. But there was another X factor, because like, let's just talk about when you saw that comment about making a Taylor Swift content or cake, what were you thinking internally? Because like, let's be honest, let's not lie. You're a Swiftie, right?
Yeah. I really love Taylor Swift. So as soon as I saw that comment, I got so excited that my audience like also loves Taylor Swift. And I was like, that's something we can connect on. And so I was like, that's gold, like to make something that I love and that they love as well. And we can connect on that. And then
did you think about making it before that though? Because it's like, if you're a Swiftie, did you feel like you had the permission to, or was it even on the radar at all?
Yeah, I think I had made a Taylor Swift cake like before some of those comments and like earlier on. So it ended up doing like pretty well. But once I saw more comments of people like asking for Taylor Swift cakes, I was like very excited. And then it was really cool to like actually reply to that comment and make that for them.
And that's what her being excited about it was what made it, and them also being excited about it is made the content so much better, because we would add, like you're saying, more personality into it. Like maybe she does the cake with a makeup transition, or we add like she's singing some lyrics in the middle of making the cake. And so it's like peppering in that kind of stuff really, I think, made people connect more to her and not just like, oh, it's a pretty cake.
Yeah.
So this is where I think the journey, I know you guys reached out to us and we started to help you rethink how to see YouTube. And I've been looking at the comments, and there's so many people are like, oh, the algorithm. I just want everyone to stop thinking about the algorithm. It's about people at the end of the day. And then two, the best quote of all time in the history of understanding YouTube is what Todd Beaupre was saying is, YouTube does not push videos for creators. They don't. They pull videos for viewers. Once you can wrap your head around that, then it becomes a lot easier to make content, you know. And what I loved was you got inspired to create, you got inspired to connect to your community, and that got that energy going in. And I think from a content creator, you felt the momentum inside you a little bit. You know, you're like, I'm excited. I can't wait for them to see this video. Like, I can guarantee you didn't have that same excitement of doing a grocery haul for your viewer. You're like obligated, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
But it was like, okay, now you're starting to understand people. And then you know, I know we met and we went into a lot more detail. How nerdy do I want my students to get when it comes to audience? Because I think this right here will help kind of set the stage for everyone of how important it really is.
Yeah. When we first joined, like as a student, when we were first trying to pivot, and that's when I first learned how important the audience is. Like, that's the first thing you should think about before even making a video. And I did not know that the first time around. So I was like, I'm going to do it right this time. So it is extremely important to get to know your audience before you even start making videos.
Yeah. And I don't think like we understood how important, like you're saying with comments. I mean, that's literally the audience, is people commenting on your video. And so reading comments is one of the most beneficial things. Well, in the right direction, you know, in the right areas, is one of the most important things that we learned. And you know, there's other things you can do as well, but just understanding the pulse of the audience is, I mean, that's most of all of our ideas come from that, you know?
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's like, what's going to get you excited? And not everyone that watches your video is going to comment. They don't do that. But the people that do, they're like literally taking time and making, you know, a comment or a message or replying to a comment. I mean, they're taking some energy and effort. But then two, you'll have some outliers. And these are I think everybody talks about outliers on videos, but they don't look at outliers in comments. It's where, you know, someone makes a statement, whether it's validating something you did in the video, validating, you know, something that you missed in a video. It could have been a moment, and they make a comment, and then just see the engagement on that comment. Like, just see it's actually a thread, and people are having conversations within it. Like, that is gold. Right. And the reason why is you can see they got emotional on something, or they felt like they connected on something. What is that? And you as a creator are now starting to put the pieces together of, you know, what is their, you know, their day like, who they are as a person, what gets them motivated, where are they going to connect? That would be that connection point, right? And then two, how passionate are they around something? And I can guarantee you, we can go through any of your videos with Taylor Swift, and they're like, oh, you're a Swiftie, I'm a Swiftie too. And then they're just putting comments in it. That is a connection point, which is beautiful. So for me, it's like you can do so much. You're using it to get ideas and do your content strategy. But I want to transition now, because like this is where I'm going to confess something, and this will be a full confession, but when shorts came out, it was a very clunky and awkward thing. And we had a couple channels that we were working with YouTube, be a part of the beta. Mr. Beast was one of them, and we were doing it. It just wasn't hitting the right way, and we noticed that there was like a disconnect, just the way that it was done. Now, fast forward to right when you started to use shorts. That's when it became the most interesting for me. I love shorts more than long form, just as a consumer. I love TikTok quite a bit. And so I get that. I get the trigger on it. But I do love regular long form videos. I love, very long form content too. But I understand kind of the mechanics of it. And it fairly, started to get interesting. And people, for creators, started to use it more as like promotion. We'll use it for promoting new videos. And then it started leading into, maybe we can actually do it to test out content. That's great too. But yours wasn't. You literally established the short form content, and you decided to put pause on your long form. And I want to talk about the moment that you went to long form, because you did something. And when I witnessed it, I saw, okay, YouTube's finally got it dialed in. Like yours was the case study. I felt like, okay, you literally got it dialed in, and this can be a part of the strategy. So why don't you share that part with everyone here?
Yeah. So the first thing we did for the long form content strategy was we went and looked at our shorts. We were like, what has the most views? What are people commenting? What do they like to see from me? Like, what do they want from me? And we realized like they literally want me to make their cakes. And so our very first long form back was literally making their crazy cake ideas. And that actually like took off for us as our first long form video back. And it's over 1 million views now at this point.
So we had gone 9 months without posting a long form video.
Yeah.
And we had only posted shorts. Mm-hmm. And actually we had posted some, in hindsight, some decent videos when we were still trying to do long form, that ended up getting some views while our shorts were taking off. And they were just, they started discovering them on the recommendations from, so it wasn't like linking to shorts. We weren't doing that.
Yeah.
They started to discover some of her old long form videos. And so that's when we were like, okay, they want to go deeper. They want more. And so that's when we started new long form.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember the conversation, because it was like, oh, this is happening. What should we do? And so we started to talk about the strategy behind it. I'm like, we got to test it. Like, if they're bringing it in, let's see what happens. And what I love was whenever I tell a student to do a test, it's not with one video. I'm like, we got to do multiple videos. Like, you got to commit to that. We got to see what happens. What happened immediately after that first video released? Because like here you had a whole bunch of traffic, you had a whole bunch of viewers with shorts, and you decided to do, I'm going to make every cake that my viewers want. What really happened momentum wise comparatively? Now, I don't want you to compare it with shorts. I want you to compare it with the other videos that you did as the long form.
Yeah, it honestly just blew up. It took off. And then again, some of those other videos from the past that were long, they also started to take off. Like, it was crazy. It was like 500 days after we posted one of the long forms, it took off, just like blew up.
Randomly took off. Like, so YouTube says, oh, we got a new audience. Here's some content they like. They liked it. I mean, because I was going back through just even your oldest videos, and going, and when you did the cakes, those were actually popping off immediately. Like, it was like, I think you had one 2 years ago. And yeah, it was 2 years ago. So it would have been one of those older ones, and it, had a couple 100,000 views. Where did those couple 100,000 views come from? And it was like, oh, here's something relevant. YouTube's not going to say, oh, this is too old, we're not going to show it. It says, oh no, they might like this. Let's test it to see if they like it. And if it does, let's serve it out to them more. And started to see with that momentum, which is beautiful. So tell me about your excitement level when that video popped off, because I knew that you had it before. Now you feel like, ooh, we might have cracked the code. How did that feel?
It felt amazing. I was like shocked and so happy. I was like, okay, I think we can actually do this. Cause like we kind of knew that we could when that other like Aldi video took off, but I was finally so excited that this was working in a vein that I was very excited about and passionate about. Like I love my job. Like I love making these videos and it's working.
Yeah.
And it was,
Yeah.
it was also encouraging to me to see that like my old videos that
we thought were
flops ended up taking off. So don't get discouraged in that. So even if you have an old video, like it could still rise up.
Yeah. And I think too, it's just making sure that the audience that would engage with your content would like that other content. Right. Yeah. And so what I love is, yes, because you had other videos that they weren't clicking on. They weren't clicking on your haul videos. I mean, they weren't doing that. It was those cake videos that were responding to. Yeah. And okay. So I would assume when that video took off, you're now thinking dollar signs, because like what you just did in a long form video, you're like, how many shorts of millions and millions of views do we need to get just to do something here with a couple 100,000 views, right? Was that the combo?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, so just so you know, whenever shorts were really doing well for us, and you know, we're making pretty good money, but you there's just a cap to shorts. Like you have to get so many views to make substantial money. But I did quit my job from just shorts, just to like, because we knew we were going to start making long form videos. And that when that first one took off, it was like, okay, we made the right decision.
Did you take a cut and pay though? Did you take a cut and pay to quit your job?
Oh, temporarily, yes. For
okay, a few it's still kind of a risk. You're like, hey, it's going here, but if we put more energy into it, it's going to pay off.
Yeah,
we knew because those old videos had taken off while I was still had a job, the long form ones, and we were like, I know if we can just make new long form videos that we're going to be okay, and so it worked out.
Yeah, I love that. I love that, and so that's where. I think the interesting thing was you had a little bit more time. You were working as a team, even though you're doing that before. You had a little bit more time to do it. Mary, your creativity went through the roof. You got really excited. And then let's talk about the series of videos of how you decided how to do a specific, title, thumbnail, and the hook. Because I've seen an evolution of, and your content keeps on getting better. Why don't you go through your process? Because I think a lot of people can learn from you from this.
Yeah. So what we usually do is honestly kind of use shorts as a test in a way. So I'll go and look at all of my shorts and I see like what's doing well. So for example, the second, I think it was a second long form video, was I bought the band Easy Bake Oven because we had looked at my shorts and I had a few band Easy Bake Oven videos that did extremely well. So I was like, okay, so I know my audience loves the band Easy Bake Oven because that's interesting and they like to see me make cakes in it. So I was like, let's turn that into a long form video. And so I still pretty much use that strategy by looking at shorts to see what my audience actually wants from me. And then how can I make it longer into that long form video?
Yeah. For example, on the band Easy Bake Oven, like essentially the first 30 seconds of that video, like the hook is essentially in a way the short, or it's like kind of, why is it banned? That's the first part of it with that. And then we go into, okay, what's she going to do with it? And so we just, like you said, I think our first long forms, they've obviously gotten better over time, just like figuring out how to add those multiple storylines in there to make everything more interesting. But yeah, that's pretty much how we go about it.
Yeah, I love it. And what I do love is seeing the data on the data side. So like the data on the data side would be, hey, they have an audience here, and you were able to see a kick in when you're releasing that new video that you already did a test on because they want to have it go deeper. That's kind of desire their heart, right? And so you're seeing that pop off. And you're starting to get some decent momentum. And what I love is you were speaking to the audience, because like this audience in this age group, okay, you're talking some Gen A, older Gen A, but Gen Z specifically, right? So you're speaking to them, and they love shorts. They consume shorts, they share shorts, right? But they also love long form. They want to get to know you more than just 30 seconds, right? And so there's a way to go deeper with it. And so you test it out and then implement it on the long form, and it started to pop off. Now, what I do love, and I just want to show everybody here. So here's some really interesting things that you did 2 years ago. But I love it how just the evolution of what your channel is and what it's become, and then how focused it is. Now, I want to get to this video right here, because I think this is a very interesting one. This is the crazy cake idea. So was this the first video that when you came back, was that the video, or was it something?
Yeah.
We had those are, the one next to it is a compilation, but that doesn't, I don't consider that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So besides the Sister Dream Cake, which is awesome, right? This was the first video you did. And I just want to dig into today. I just want to dig into the comments real quick, because like I think this is where a lot of people could really learn from it. But whenever I see a time code, you should stain your jeans all neon colors. Like they're giving you ideas what to do in your videos, right? And then you get thumbs up, and you can see that they're engaging. They're very positive. Gymnastic cakes, they're giving you ideas of what to do. But this is like literal gold from me. It's just like there's so much you can get out of it. However, that being said, you went over, and the next one was the band cakes, and so you had 1 million views. And then this is where it gets interesting, because they were interested. You kept kind of the same thumbnail strategy, which I love. Okay, you just kind of use that third style, as a band thing, because that was a recommendation. And then this one popped off. I mean, we had 1.3 million views on this one. What's interesting, though, is the amount of comments, right? So, like, I'm always looking at comments, engagement. Today, so you can see you had more comments on this one, and yet that next one you didn't have as many comments. And so I'm always breaking it down. I think people look at maybe I wasn't, or I'm saying maybe they didn't like it as much or whatever. And what I'm saying is, no, it's how you interact with people, because in comparing both videos, you interacted completely different on the first one than you did the second one. Because it's like, I'm doing your ideas, and you're kind of going through that, where it was one idea, and then you were just like, hey, can I make a cake through this? So, I think it's fascinating. I think it's interesting. But this is the moment that I seen kind of like a sparkle in your eye, because you felt like you now have a strategy, because you can still do the fun, creative, short-term videos, the short videos, not short-term videos, but the short videos. You could do it for fun. You could do it as a test. You could do it in engagement. But then you actually had, these longer videos that could bring in more money to create more content. And so how did your strategy, because like the one, I mean, you had some really cool ideas, and I know that some of these ideas, are just, other ideas that other people have, but they don't necessarily do it with cakes. You're like, oh, wonder how we can make it our own. I love it. But your number one video of all time is one that you put out, and I want to talk about that, because if we go to your number one video, and this is on long form, short form is completely different, but if we go long form, you can see it's the band cakes again, and you did it 3 months ago. So talk about buckets. So I mentioned buckets in my book. You know how obsessed I am with audience and buckets in Channel Jumpstart, because you're one of my students. Talk about that, and I want to talk about the effect. Maybe Tanner can talk into this as well. So
yeah, do you?
Yeah, I mean, so we've only been posting one long form a month, just because it's, with shorts we don't want to abandon that, but we're still trying to make sure we hit those buckets like you talk about, and so like the evolution of the band cakes essentially is like, it started in the shorts with the band Easy Bake Oven, and then evolved into the I made cakes in the band Easy Bake Oven, we were like, okay, that did well. And then we were kind of like, well, Daryl, you talked to us and gave us a lot of this idea, but essentially we were like, okay, what is Halloween's coming up? What's associated with like band toys are kind of creepy, they're kind of weird. And so what if we, use that as in our bucket of like using band toys to make cakes essentially. And that's what we did with that Halloween one. And we, in that video, we went pretty all out. Like we decorated our kitchen, Halloween, transformed everything. So it was really fun. But yeah, that one is surprisingly our best video. And we're like, we need to do something like that again.
We are doing something like that again. But what we also noticed too is that band toys and band products are still a huge trend all over YouTube, all over the internet, all over TikTok, all over everywhere. So I basically looked at that and I was like, okay, how can I do that? Like, that looks fun. Like, let's buy some band kid toys and like, I'll just make them into a cake. And for Halloween, it was super fun because I got to make them spooky, and I'm like the least spooky person. I hate scary things. So I made that a whole bit of the video, and so it was really fun.
Yeah. So the key to this, and I want everyone to understand, once you have a video that a viewer watches, the goal that I always tell my students is like this. It's like, we want to convert those new views into a returning viewer. And the best way to convert them to a returning viewer is to give them something similar to what they have, and they want more of it. They want to go deeper down the rabbit hole. So if they're doing down the band toy products or band cakes or whatever, it's like, oh, I like this one, it's fun, I want to see another one. So YouTube will always recommend something that will take them down a rabbit hole, but it also takes something down where YouTube will make guesses of what they want to watch based on your content. So the other things, I might like to watch recreated Unreal, cakes off of TikTok. And so that would actually show up underneath it. And so it's getting that suggested traffic to kick in. But what you explained earlier, which I love, is when one takes off, it lifts up all your content. So it's like when you have something that is relationally the same, YouTube's going to start recommending each other. And that is when I remember the day that you executed on this idea, and I'm like, okay, game over now. You now understand your audience well enough to create content. You have fun doing it. You're getting a good rhythm. Your long form content is better. Now we just need to hone our skills of just really owning the audience. We've got to be better storytellers. We kind of go more in depth on it. And I do want to clarify something because someone brought it up when I said that you don't make a ton of money on shorts. You make a ton of money on shorts. There is. And I think money's relative. When I'm thinking money, I'm thinking I want hundreds of thousands of dollars a month coming in. And so it's all relative. If it can fire on more long form, you're more guaranteed ad spots. And then two, as you become more of authority in a space or connecting with a specific audience and advertiser wants, they're going to bid on your content, and that brings your revenue up. And so for me, it's just more when I make that comment, I think a lot of people would be actually excited with what you're able to do, what you did off of shorts, because it did retire you and focus in on this, and you're bringing enough money in there. So I don't want to discount that. I mean, I guess that's bad of me, but I you know me, I go big or go home.
Well, also shorts and long form, the shelf life of a long form video is amazing. Like it gets views for a really long time. Shorts can, but it's harder for it to do that.
We really have
a bigger short for it to do that. I mean, it just definitely does. Yeah.
We only have like 2 shorts that have we have one short that's over 107 million views.
Right. Yeah.
That has been, but it's been going for like a year, and that's like one out of like I don't even know how many shorts, and it's taken a year to get that much.
Right.
Yeah. Now I definitely want to dig deep into shorts, because I think now when you know that, hey, we're doing one video a month, long form, it's going to put a lot of energy into it. You're already testing it with shorts. How do you push your creativity needle though? Like what are you doing to be more creative in your long form? Because as you're well aware, I mean, doing a 30-second versus a 14-minute is more difficult to retain people.
Yeah. We really try to put in a lot of different storylines and also like pepper in my personality more now. I also like to literally like meet my subscribers and know them. Because that truly is my biggest motivator, is like my viewers. Like I love them all. I want to meet them all. They're so sweet. And so I want to know like what they want to see and what gets them excited, as well as myself.
Yeah, no, I love that. And we were just in the Dominican Republic, and we were having lunch. My wife and I with you two, and it was the cutest thing ever to have these two girls come up, which is exactly the age that you said, middle school girls, right? And they wanted a little selfie, and it was just like, here we are in the middle of nowhere, Dominican Republic, and yet here's super fans that are coming in and navigating. And you're so gracious to take time and do a selfie with them. And I will never forget the comment that after they left, you're like, they were so excited, they were scared that they couldn't even talk to me. Like I would ask them questions, they're like,
yeah, they freeze up, and I'm like, I just talked to you, like, you're so cute.
It takes a little bit to warm up, but
yeah. I think it was kind of awkward because like everybody was like looking at them and you and this whole selfie thing. But yeah, it was cute. So one of the tips that I always have my students do is like when someone comes up to you, do a selfie, you spend time with them for sure. Mm-hmm. But ask them questions. Ask them like, what's their favorite video and why? How did they discover you and why? And do you have other friends that are like, I just try to get as much information out of them as possible without feeling creepy, right? Just be curious about them. And then to take time to hear them out. Sometimes they might have like, what would be a really cool video to do? Maybe they give you like one of the most amazing videos of all time. So I really, really love that. So anything else to mention on that?
I would just go back to some of the things you were mentioning about in our long form videos, and how we're trying, like, basically, it's a lot different trying to create a long form video than a short. And basically what we did was, we study other creators that are, and what mechanisms in the video are they using for retention? And we're like, okay, well, how can we apply that to what we're doing? We also get some inspiration from because she's doing baking, like the Food Network sometimes, and like seeing what they're doing on there to make it interesting. Like we like watching the Holiday Baking Championship, for example. It's like, why do we like watching that? And really being a student of YouTube, like you said,
right.
And I guess TV too.
No, I that inspiration, I think you can get it anywhere. I get it everywhere. Which is great. Well, let's talk about now that you now that you have your strategy, you know what to consider and when to consider it, and you're putting out content strategically, and it's working. How do you kind of like run me through a day with you guys? Like what's the highest priority? What's the lowest priority? Where do you spend your time? Because I think a lot of people tend to put time in the wrong places. They focus in on the wrong things. So maybe each of you just take a minute and just kind of walk through, what's the day in life of and where you put your focus.
Oh gosh, my day changes like every single day. Let's see. I will say the moment that I was able to hire an assistant really changed my life for the better professionally, because I was then able to focus a lot more on the creativity and the videos that I wanted to make, rather than like literally going to the store to buy all the supplies that I need, or organizing all my cake supplies. I used to have to spend a lot of time doing that. And now I can focus more of my time and energy on the content and what my subscribers want to see. I'm trying to think of like what all I do in a day.
We have shorts. We have weeks where we're making shorts, and
Yeah.
we have weeks where we're making long form. What do those look like?
Yeah. So we just finished long form, like posting a long form. So that week, like when we're filming a long form, it's always really crazy because I'm like having to make a bunch of cakes. So it takes forever for us to film. Like it could take 3 to like 7 days to film.
Long form, yeah.
For a long form. And I'm trying to think of like what, yeah.
It just all blurs together.
It honestly does. It's like blurring together right now.
Well,
I'm like, what do I do in my day?
I know that you're a little sick too, under the weather, but it's all good. I appreciate you coming on.
We have like, I think like mostly Mondays are like we have days where we have to just focus on the strategy of everything, and instead of executing, because you have to take that time to like think about what am I doing, because especially long form videos, we've had points where we're like, oh, we need to make a long form video, but we don't really have the idea fully fleshed out. And we're like, if we go and make this, we're going to spend so much time doing it. And if we don't spend the time to do the pre-production, then we're going to be sad at when we post it. So sometimes, yeah, like we'll take a step back and be like, okay, it's worth waiting for and getting organized around this idea. But yeah, we do split our weeks into like shorts and long form.
That's great. That's great. So, yeah, I think everyone can relate. It kind of blurs together at times, but I know that you spend time doing some recon and research, trying to figure out what are the next ideas, and then you're testing the ideas, and then you're selecting, oh, this is the one we're going to do long form. Which is great. And then I do love, it's music to my ears, Tanner, when you say, hey, we got to do more pre-production. I think a lot of people, they just shoot a video and they're like, oh, this is the most amazing video of all time, or we'll fix it in the edit, instead of thinking, no, how do we give the elements that's needed?
We've wasted a lot of time shooting stuff that we just like end up editing out, and we're like, oh my gosh, like we gotta, if we were more organized, we can film faster.
We definitely learned the hard way to do that. So
I think we all have, which is good. You're just getting smarter, right? Because you got to analyze and adjust, and you're like, okay, we did it the hard way. We don't want to endure all that scrutiny.
For sure.
Well, let's dive into one other thing, and I want to be able to make an announcement. After this next one. So stick on for the announcement. It's really, really, really cool, especially with Mary Allyson and also some stuff that I'm involved with, which is exciting. But let's talk about the cake that I said was a banger. And we were on a mastery call with my students, and we were focusing in on you and your channel, and this is where I'm able to kind of deep dive. And let's kind of talk about that, because like the nature of what you're able to do, and that I think there's a lot of people can learn from this when we come up with a solid idea. So
we were on a call with Daryl and a bunch of other students, and he was diving into our channel, like what are some like good video ideas to do, like how do we make our strategy better. And we were like, okay, well, we were about to hop off because we're like literally flying to London to go to the Taylor Swift concert.
Of course.
My ears perk up. Taylor Swift airplane.
Yeah. And so he was like, you should make a cake on a plane. And I was like, we're about to leave. Like right when we hang up, we're out the door, like we're going. And he was like, well, if you can do it, like just do it. And so I was like, all right. And me as a cake decorator, I have about 15 frozen cakes in my freezer at any given time, along with extra frozen frosting. And I was like, you know what? I can make this work. Like, let's just do it. I like grabbed the cake, grabbed the frosting, ran upstairs, grabbed random cake supplies and sprinkles and piping bags and like a cake box. And I was like, all right, we're doing this thing. And I was like really nervous because I was like, it was like kind of out of my comfort zone, because I was like, is this going to get through security? Like, are people going to judge me? Like, will the pilot didn't take it away?
Let's stop there. So when we talked about the idea, the magic was, it's a long flight. Okay. And I've been on long flights before, and like there's people that raw dog it that just don't do anything. They just stand there, just like raw dogging the whole thing. And I'm like, okay, you have that. Then you have the extreme where everybody's like putting feet everywhere. And like I've seen the most interesting things on the plane. So from a teenager's point, some of them may not have flown before, right? And so there is that unknown. And then two, who would make a freaking cake on a plane? Well, of course, Mary Allyson would, right? And then the story was, okay, what would be the unknowns? And getting it through security. I mean, those are story beats, right? And so like I think that is really cool because you are curious already. If you're curious, the viewer is going to be curious. And then where's that going to happen? But I want to state one other thing. When I came up with the idea, it wasn't, I call it a banger because I know it's a banger. I still believe it's a 100 million viewed video.
So
Yeah.
It's just like, it's one of those 100 million viewed ideas, is because the why and the what. And the why was, you're going to make a cake and give it to a Taylor Swift fan because you're going to a Taylor Swift concert, and that's what you do to Swifties, right? And so you had kind of like this great idea for a story, and now can you actually pull it off? And so I want to pick up there because I wanted them to have context, because just the idea of doing a cake on the plane is not very interesting, but it was, oh wait, can I actually get through security? So take it from there.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, can I actually get through security? And then if I do get through security, like, how am I going to physically make a cake on a plane? Like, I didn't fly first class. Like, I'm not, I wish, but I didn't have that much space. I was in like the tiny little like cube. And so we were thankful that there was like a seat in between us.
Yeah, that just worked out.
It just worked out. I was like, I don't know what we would have done if there was somebody like sitting in our row. So thankfully that worked out. And I had this like tiny little space and random frosting. I had to like open the piping bags, which were, by the way, extremely loud. And of course I was doing it at midnight because it was like an overnight flight. And so everybody was asleep. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, are they going to tell me to like be quiet? Am I going to get thrown off this plane by the flight attendant? Like, what is happening? And then also I was like, how am I going to decorate this cake with the like few supplies that I have? Like, I don't have all of my normal things, like a cake spinner and like a smoother and all the things. I was like, how am I going to make it like look cute and be Taylor Swift themed? Thankfully, as a Swiftie, I have a bunch of like Taylor Swift decorations in my cake supplies of like little cake toppers. So I was like, okay, well, that's good. I can just like throw that on. And then I was like, okay, now I need to find a Swiftie to give this to, like, on my plane. I was like, that would be so cool, because the plane was full of Swifties going to the concert. Everybody was going to the concert. And so what's also funny is that I found a Swiftie who was on my plane that I actually like knew, and we didn't know that we were like going to be on the same plane.
Yeah.
So I gave it to her, and that was really cool, and she loved it. Like, it was so sweet.
Well, I want to watch the video because I think the video is really well done. I think it's somebody they can get a lot out of it, and then two, when you actually understand how to put the elements to a video together, it can happen very quickly. Like the point was, she was just ending the call, getting on a plane within 30 minutes, and she was able to pull all the supplies together, was bold enough to take the idea. But it was an idea that could be done because there's a story behind it. She was doing this. She's a Swiftie fan. They know that she's a Swiftie fan. They're just going to engage with it. So let me go ahead and pull that video up here real quick. And let's see if we can.
I'm making the world's first cake on a plane, but I barely got this cake past security. So I really hope the flight attendants don't. I need to be quiet because I'm currently in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean going to see
Taylor Swift
in London, and everyone on the plane is asleep. These piping bags are so loud.
What are you doing back there?
What else would I do? I tried playing Angry Birds, but kept losing. If I can finish this Taylor Swift cake before we land, I'm giving it to the biggest Swiftie on my plane. It's looking kind of rough, but who should I give this cake to?
Excuse me? Do you want this cake?
I'm making the world.
All right. That's so good. That's so good. So, Yeah. Oh, how many views did we get on that? I know it's still popping. It hasn't reached.
Over 52 million, 51 million, something like
Yeah.
that right now. But it still gets a lot of views consistently.
Yeah. I still think it's a 100 million banger. And you know, it's so great. It's so great. Now let's talk about that, because that was a very different type of video. You weren't in your atmosphere. You weren't in your ecosystem. And why, from your point of view, did that work? Why? I mean, you made a whole bunch of other videos that you had a lot more thought process in it. Why did it work? And what did you learn from it?
I think it worked because there was a big why behind it, and I was able to connect with people in multiple different ways. Whether like a lot of people have been on a plane, and so they think it's interesting that you see somebody like making a cake on a plane. They're like, what the heck?
Or if they haven't been on a plane, they want to go on a plane.
Yeah. And then there's also like the connection with being a Swiftie.
Yep.
And then there was the curiosity, like you had mentioned before, of like what's going to happen. And then also I was able to like stay true to myself and still insert my personality and still make it a part of my world. Which I think was really big too.
And by starting, I think we made sure we started it where we normally start a video, like in our kitchen. And it's just like that quick transition. It's like, oh, all of a sudden you're on a plane really quick. Like, what's going on here? It made people stop and watch it.
I think the familiar environment was pretty big for that one too, because my audience knows that I always like pop up behind my countertop. And so that will usually make my audience stop.
Yeah, I think it was just weird. I'll just be honest with you. Like, I love weird ideas.
It's also weird.
It's like, why would she do that? You know, and then what happens if you would do it? So then that curiosity factor, you know, it leans in, and then you did the beats. It's like, can I get through security? You showed it, right? You know, can I keep it quiet because it's so loud? Yeah. What are people going to think? I mean, all the stuff that they're probably thinking in their head, you're literally giving it to them, right? Mm-hmm. Why Angry Birds? Like, I need to understand that. Like, why did you pause and do Angry Birds?
We wanted to like break up the pattern a little bit. We wanted a little pattern interruption and throw in a little bit of like my goofy personality of being like not good at video games at all. And just like throw something like goofy and fun in there.
Yeah. And it's giving people something to comment.
And
really.
Yeah. And giving them something to comment, like, wow, she was really good.
That's very relatable too, because it's like, that's what you do. You got to play a little Angry Birds on a 9-hour flight. I mean, that's what you got to do, right?
Yeah.
But no, I love it. And then two, this is kind of a hack when it comes to shorts. Everyone that's watching. So if you're watching this, you do shorts. If you can get them to comment, they're going to be commenting and it's going to loop the video. They're going to watch it once, more than once. And so that's a very big thing. And then two, if you noticed, she doesn't tell them to comment anything. It was just more engaging and connected at different points. And if you go through those comments, it's some of the best comments there. And people felt a part of it too. And I think too, I think this is a great example of, hey, this was a test of making cakes in weird places. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's a bucket for a longer form video.
Yeah.
Maybe you're doing it in an Uber, and I'm just throwing out ideas. It's just like, you know, maybe it's like you're going to someone's party and you forgot a cake and you're going to do it on the Uber drive. Like, I mean, there's several ways to do it, but the thing is super engaging and super fun. And then two, it elevated your content. And what happened at this specific moment? Because like you did it, and then I mean, this was how long ago was this?
September was when we posted it. Yeah.
What happened in your fourth quarter? Like what like from a business perspective, from a creator specific, what happened in fourth quarter for you guys?
Yeah. Q4 was amazing for us. Our growth was like exponential in all terms, in views, monetarily, in learning.
Yeah.
It was the best months that we've had, especially since him quitting his job. So that was really encouraging as well.
Yeah, I love it. What I felt is that you really know your audience really well. You were willing to do it, but not to do it for views, because you knew your audience would love the content that you're creating. And so I just noticed that you developed a strong audience, and it was no surprise, being in Dominican Republic and have your fans come, because you're getting hundreds of millions of video views. You are, and you're really engaging with that. Now, here's the surprise. I said, everyone, I'm going to do a surprise. We every year are really just kind of thinking, who's moving the needle, who's pushing the needle. Who would love to learn more from Mary Allyson? Put it in the comments right now. If you want to learn more from Mary Allyson, put it in there. She did a training in the Dominican Republic. That was one of the best trainings I've ever seen on Shorts. It was amazing. And it was coming from the perspective of audience development. I think people try to get so nerdy in here's how you get them hooked, and you're trying to give you the formula of it, where it was more of a connection. So if you want to learn more, put it in the comments right now, because of that, I watched that presentation and I'm like, oh girl, that was so good. And I remember going up afterwards and I says, hey, why don't you give that presentation at VidSummit? Like, why don't you go in depth? Because it's so good for my students. I'm like, we need to go a lot more there. And so Mary Allyson is actually the first speaker that we're announcing at VidSummit 2025. So that's going to be on October 7th through the 9th. And you are that first speaker. I'm like so excited to learn from you, like more than you can ever imagine. And you think, oh, well, I'm mentoring you, I don't learn from you. No, I learn from my students all the time. But your presentation was very well done. And I want that, of course you're gonna have more data, so it's gonna be different than the presentation, but I'm so excited that everyone gets to learn from you. And so how does that feel? I mean, we went through goal setting. I had no idea this was your goal. So why don't you tell us you don't need to go through all your goals, but why don't you kind of share that goal that you had?
Yeah. So we were sitting at lunch and Daryl was like, what are your goals for this year? And I was like, I want to speak at VidSummit. And he had already asked me like before that. And I was like, yes, like, of course. Like, that's so funny. That was literally like the top goal for me, like, of this year. And so that was so exciting and really cool. And I'm so excited to share with you all and get to know you all too. So.
Yeah, I love it. And for me, I want to share everyone a goal that I had. So 3 years ago at VidSummit, I'm looking out over the audience of VidSummit, and there's just not that many female creators out there. And when you really look at the ratio of male creators versus female creators, they're underrepresented. They really are. And these young girls out there in the world and young boys out there in the world, they need more female creators. And I vowed that I would try to mentor more female creators in a way to have them want to mentor more. And what I love is kind of where you got your inspiration from Hope Scope, right? Mm-hmm. And it's her desire too. She wants to see more female creators. Why don't you talk about that relationship that you have with Hope? Because I think that's an interesting thing. And I know that you're doing it with other creators too, where you're starting to see these people coming up and, you're encouraging them. But, that's a goal for me. And it is like with VidSummit, I just want to inspire more female creators to come up and do what you're doing. So why don't you take a second on that?
Yeah. So it was really cool. My very first time at VidSummit was 2022 years ago, or was it 2023?
No, 2 years ago.
No, I think it was 2023. Anyway, I was watching Hope give a presentation on stage. I think she was in a panel that year with a bunch of female creators. And that was very inspiring to me to see a whole panel of women creators. And especially Hope was leading that panel. And also just watching her content in general and seeing how she inspires a young female audience, and then also wanting to inspire more female creators. So when I got to actually meet her and speak with her, it was really cool. And now that I would have never thought that I would actually be able to speak at VidSummit as well. And so I think it's really cool to see that it is possible. Like she inspired me, and now like I also want to inspire a bunch of young females and female creators for sure. I actually have a subscriber that goes to my church, and she like makes YouTube videos. It's so cute. And she was like, I want to be a YouTuber like you. And I was like, yes, like please do. And then she asked me to like be on her channel. I was like, absolutely, like yes, like just let me know. And so I think it's really sweet to see that and very encouraging to see.
Yeah, and I think the big thing for me is it's always good to see people that look like us or sound like us make content, because that inspires us. So like, if they can do it, we can do it, right? And I love it. And so I'm just excited that you're willing to accept to be a speaker at VidSummit, and can't wait for you to share what you shared in the DR, because that was an amazing presentation for the people at VidSummit. So guys, if you want to go over to vidsummit.com, get your ticket. It's October 7th through the 9th. Believe it or not, we sold out last year. We did, and we did the year before. Got pretty crazy. We're going to be pushing really hard. I'm not going to lie. We're going to push harder than we've ever done before. This last VidSummit was the best VidSummit ever of all time. From my point of view, it was just beautiful to watch. It was like the right dynamics, and we had the right type of sponsors coming in, and it felt good. And so we're putting all energy into this. So be on the lookout. Every week we're going to be announcing new speakers. We're going to be going out there. If you want to speak at VidSummit, reach out to us. Tweet me. Say, hey, I'm interested. I'm open. My only goal is that you're bringing value to everybody and not self-promoting. That's what we're trying to do. So really excited about that. Any last thoughts? Mary Allyson, is there anything that you want to say before we turn to questions? Because I know there's a lot of people that have questions. Is there anything?
Yeah, I just want to say that like, if you're feeling stuck in your content, like there is a way forward. Like you can do it. Trust me. If you would have asked me 3 years ago if I would be in this position now, I would have been like, no, there's no way. But just like never give up. Like keep going, keep pushing. Like you can do this. Like I promise.
Yeah, I love that. So you open for a couple questions, both of you guys?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have a question, put it down in the comments there. I think I love what you said, never giving up. And I think too, surround yourself by people that get it. I think far too many times we feel like we're on an island, but having conversations with people that are actually doing it helps you kind of stay grounded. And then also it's almost therapeutic, because like when you say something, they get it, like, oh, I've been there or whatever. And you're able to really, really elevate kind of your mental health too, just being surrounded by people.
Channel Jumpstart helped us a lot with that, having that community, because we didn't have that before.
Yeah, the Channel Jumpstart community is like truly amazing to have. Like, yeah,
I'm a little biased. on that one, right?
Yeah, like you are amazing. Your team is amazing. The community is great.
Yeah. So if you're interested in Channel Jumpstart, that's in the description too. We're just getting ready to do a new cohort. It's coming up in a couple of weeks. So yeah. All right. So Kelsey's saying, how many shorts were you doing a week before you hit it hard?
1 short per week. And that's honestly still what we do. So
yeah, we might can make more, but with the long form and stuff, it's like, it's just kind of what worked for us. And that we noticed in that cycle, you obviously could do more. We noticed in that cycle that keeps it, if we miss a week, our short doesn't take off as fast. It takes longer. So being in that cycle of weekly is probably bare minimum with shorts if you're taking it serious.
Yeah.
Love that. The project equestrian question, is it to identify values to reach versus audience age?
Is the question, is it to identify values?
Is it more about trying to figure out the values of the audience, or is it age?
Yeah. For me, it was really figuring out, the value of the audience and what they wanted to see and what I could connect with. So for me, for example, I was like, okay, who am I? Because that was also a question I had to ask. I was like, what do I like? And I was like, I love baking. I love Taylor Swift. I love pop culture, like makeup, celebrity, movies, all of the things. How can I combine those? And then also who else would want to watch that? And so for me, it was really evident that it was like 8 to 16-year-old girls, and that's what my audience mostly is.
And I think we don't try necessarily to make content for an 8 to 16-year-old. We try to make it where, obviously based on the values, where it's like, okay, if there's a someone in the family that's 8 years old and 16 years old and 35 years old, maybe a mom or something, they all probably kind of like the similar things. Maybe they could all actually watch our video together.
Yeah.
Right.
So because we really want it to be like broad, but then you will have that core audience, which, like I said, for me is the 8 to 16-year-old girl. But we want it to be more about very easily broadly viewed. So like when they're watching it on the TV, the mom and the older sister and even the dad would enjoy the content.
Yeah. So I think the big thing, the way I look at it is age is a way that we communicate. The value is the value. And what you're trying to do is like, hey, let's bring value so that a mom and a daughter can watch content together and they both enjoy it. That's great. I'm all for it. There are certain things that will resonate with a younger audience, and you'll understand that. But when I look at age, it's just contextually help me know how to communicate, because they're going to want it a certain way. And when I mean communicate, it's even the edit itself too. It's like you're communicating through your edit, and so I like to break it down like that, which is beautiful. All right, so Tony's asking from LinkedIn. We are live streaming on LinkedIn. Look at that. Look at us. Look at us. Okay, I have a paper crafting channel. What is the best strategy to research what people want to see in my videos? What would you say?
Yeah, I mean, so if you're getting some views already, obviously the comments are a great place to start with that. If you're getting views already, you probably have some data on like where, how long they're watching your videos. So is there like peaks in the video that they rewound and like that moment for whatever reason? That can give you some information. And then if you aren't getting a lot of views, I think it's experimenting, and then also kind of reading comments of other channels to see what they're doing. Like that's how we started. It's like how do we make a video that a viewer of this type of channel would watch?
Yeah, so we would go look at comments from other people's channels, for instance, like Hope or even Nick or Mariah, some of those people that I listed, and see what the comments were. And so you could do the same thing.
Yeah, so Tony, they gave you some really great advice. I would say look on Pinterest. Like Pinterest is probably your ground of coming up with ideas, and then two, look at it is most people will look at, oh, we're doing a craft and it's the project that's the most important. Tony, don't think that way. Like literally get that out of your head. What you want to do is think about, okay, how do I bring value to them? Because they're going to want to know, and it could be like the 5 best, paper crafting things in 2026, or 2025 or whatever, or 2024. And then you're getting some inspiration off of Pinterest, and you could even off Pinterest, you could even do it off of TikTok. Some of those trying to recreate something that you see on TikTok is a big deal. But it's more that I think if you get, if you think that someone's going to do step-by-step with you, you're not understanding YouTube. What they want to see is you do it, and they want to see why you're doing it, and you're telling the story behind it, and that's where the bulk of your views are going to come from. And so that's what I would do. Definitely Pinterest. Get the ideas in there, and then do look at other lateral things like they said on YouTube. I think that'd be great. So
yeah, TikTok. We do research on TikTok too, because it just drives so much of the culture on the internet.
Okay, they're asking, what is the best short length for you guys?
For us, we usually keep it at 30 or below, like right between like 26 and 30.
Yeah, depending on the video. If it's
was like the plane like longer though?
It was a little bit longer.
The plane was like longer.
We used to have a lot more variation in how long they would be, and now we do try. We found that like 30 to 35 is like the sweet spot for us. I don't know if it's because of the type of content it is, like it makes it more shareable or something. I don't know. But I know shorts are longer now. Like you can make 3-minute shorts. We haven't really tried that, but it maybe we'll
It's
experiment.
not a
every now and
world that I would do that with your audience. If you can do 3 minutes, you're doing it on a long form video.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
what-
might as well make a long form video.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay, so this next one I'll answer. I'm starting a new channel with crime stories. Great. Everybody loves the crime stories. My question is, because of the nature and strong language of the channel, can it still be monetized? What's your thoughts and advice on the niche? Yeah. Some of the biggest channels on the planet, biggest podcasts are true crime. It works. They have strong language. They have just the nature of it. Keep in mind, though, is the frequency. If the strong language, don't do it at the beginning of the video. Put it more in there if there is strong language through it. YouTube's a little bit more tolerant with that. They're a little bit more sensitive at the beginning of the video. It's like if it's like in a short amount of time. But all in all, it's great, and you can monetize for sure. So, okay, here we've got one. What is the difference between YouTube Formula 1 and YouTube Formula 2? YouTube Formula 1's right here. It's written. YouTube Formula 2 is not written. No, I've been working on it for a while. Believe it or not, I wanted to redo section 2. So those are case studies. And so I'm going to really bring in case studies that are people that read the book and have seen success instead of the pre-read the book. And so that section 2 is going to be there. And then we need to address shorts because believe it or not, the YouTube formula still works with shorts. Mary Allyson can attest to that. But we need to help people see it through the lens of the shorts and going through the short form content. Believe it or not, that is my strength. I view shorts as a commercial, like from my point of view, and I'm obsessed with commercials. So it's like, that's something that I need to go a lot more in depth on. And then also the tools. So Moad, it's the tools. Definitely want to see the tools with AI. There's so much that are out there. I need to nerd out to how creators can use tools to create and amplify. And so that's going to be in version 2. Okay, so let's go ahead on this question right here. It's just a thing. Thank you. Any advice on how to convert short views into long views in the medical education content? So I'll see. You guys have any strategy there?
Yeah, well, I am not very medical educational at all, as you can probably tell. I bake cakes, but to convert short views to long views, the way that worked for me is what I am just going to tell you because that's what worked for me is literally like looking at what I did in shorts and what the audience liked from the short, and then making that into a long form video. So look at your shorts, what did well, read the comments, see what people want from you, and then turn that into a longer video.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anything on that?
Yeah. I guess to go a step further on it is even on shorts, like you might have, I've seen a lot of people have like one video that pops off and they don't really understand why and they can't replicate it. So I think it's important on shorts to not just have like one video that takes off and then just, I'm going to make a long form video about that. But like understand, like, could I make a series of shorts and people are like really invested in this like series, and then you're going to build the audience loyalty more that way. And then they're going to be more likely to want to check out your long form. I think that's probably what I think.
Yeah. And I would say, knowing you, it's more, you like to go in depth on specific topics that might take, 20, 30 minutes, and that's not shorts at all. And so shorts is something quick. I would make a point of connection in the sense of, hey, maybe it's a misconceived idea that is actually true, or a misconceived idea that's actually false. And then you have a relevant deep dive video. But not every channel needs a short strategy. I'm just here to tell you, like, I don't believe in that. What I believe is you have an audience that cares and to consume. If the value proposition is that you're going way in depth on something, then that's what it is. Like if I only had, let me use this as an example. So I listen religiously to long podcasts, 2 to 3 hours sometimes. Okay. And I do it to kind of shut my mind down a little bit at times, but there's great value in it. And when I'm flying, I'm listening to a podcast or whatever. But there's not a world that I find value in a short. I'm not watching short. I want that 2 to 3 hours. I'm not consuming it that way. However, there's other channels, i.e. clips channels, that use short strategies that I'll watch. Okay. And it'll be maybe one specific moment. I take a mental note. Oh, I need to go listen to that interview with Mark Zuckerberg, right? Just because I'm like, I haven't listened to it yet. Or they said something, I don't remember that. I want to go deeper. I'm not going deeper on it. So you might be able to do it that way, where it's like taking that golden nugget. And if they want to go deeper, they're going to do it. But you're going to need to program it that they know it's your video. Because if they don't know it's your video, then they have no idea that it's there. So there's a lot of complexity. But I generally like to figure out who my viewer is. Would they be conducive of watching shorts? If so, what type of value are they going to bring? For me, it's just that quick dopamine effect. I'm moving on, quick laugh, whatever. Mine's more memes than anything else. I share more memes with my kids through it. I love that type of content. And rarely is it something that, I learned something there. Like, it never is. It's just like, oh, maybe I want to learn something. I'll deep dive. I'll go to a longer form video. So cool. Let me do this last question here, and then we will. I know it's been a long time. I thank you for doing an hour and a half with us. Are you using any AI related in your content creation process, like using tools?
Yes, we are. He
does
most of it.
We use ChatGPT sometimes to help us with writing things better, and then change it into our own words. But probably mostly what we use is we use Midjourney a good amount for thumbnails. Like, a lot of the cakes in our thumbnails, we might upload a video of the actual cake, and then it creates variations of it just to make it look pop more, and so that's something we do a lot. Is we use Midjourney for almost every thumbnail, and obviously the AI in Photoshop.
Yeah. I love the AI in Photoshop. It's
really good. Yeah,
We use that a lot.
Well, guys, any last words? Thank you so much for joining us. Any last words on this?
We're just so thankful to be here. I'm so excited to speak at VidSummit. So everybody get your tickets. VidSummit is amazing. And also join Channel Jumpstart, because it helped us significantly. I would not be here today without Channel Jumpstart or Daryl, honestly. So.
Oh, that's so nice. That's so nice. Yeah, it's an honor to mentor you. What I love is I just kind of point you in the right direction. You have to do all the hard work. And what I love is you're willing to roll up your sleeves and do it, even when it's awkward. And you're living the life because of what you guys are doing. And so I'm so grateful just to be a small little, blip in your journey. And I can't wait. I literally can't wait for the people that you're going to inspire at VidSummit. So get your tickets, VidSummit.com. If you want to hear one of the most amazing presentations on converting short audience viewers into long form. She gets very granular with it. The data to back up with it. It's going to be super great. And so thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.